I wanted them down by 6. I wanted them to get punched in the mouth and have to fight through it and earn the rings and earn the wins. And I've gotten all of that and more in this NBA Finals. So I'm super excited about that. This past game, man, we got to talk about the timeout by Nick Nurse. I don't understand it. Kawhi Leonard was on a roll. He was a one-man wrecking crew. I think he was putting that team on his back and trying to lead them to the title. Yes, the rest of the Raptors, who, by the way, during that run weren't scoring anyway, looked gassed. Kawhi Leonard looked a little tired as well. But correct me if I'm wrong, super NBA fans, you get that under 3-minute timeout already anyway. And if you don't use your timeouts before then, you lose them. I would just lost my timeout. My team's on the roll. My star player's leading the charge. We're going to go with it. And in the last second play, when the play's not working out the way I want it to work out, we're calling a timeout. We're going to reset. I was screaming at the television during that last sequence. I don't understand that at all. When you have a timeout available, you use it to get yourself settled and get yourself to the play you want to get to. So I think some mistakes there by Nick Nurse, which I'm sure he saw the film. He's thinking about that right now. He'll make the adjustments. The rest of that coaching staff will make the adjustments. The good thing for Toronto, they have won 2 games in Oracle before. They're actually 3-0 in Oakland this season, so no fear in that part. But you got to wonder, we talked about at the beginning of the series, this is old hat for the Warriors. Been here, done that, 5 straight finals. As the pressure gets tighter and tighter, the Pascal Siakams, the Marc Gasol, who balled his butt off yesterday, the Serge Ibaka's, the Kyle Lowrys, those guys haven't been in situations. As the pressure gets tighter, will they be able to step up to the challenge and do what they need to do to help their team get the victory? Because, of course, the one thing they have in their back pocket, if you're a Toronto Raptors fan, is Game 7's at home. Well, that's great that Game 7's at home, but you got to get out there and perform. If you have a chance to end things in Cali, you want to end things in Cali. So that's kind of my take on the game. I want to get from you, Pat. No holds barred. I want you to give me the raw, your feelings on Kevin Durrant playing. Should he have been out there? Do you blame anybody for the injury? If you're a GM of the Clippers or a GM of the New York Knicks, are you offering this guy a max contract with the potential of him not playing for a year? What are your thoughts on the whole KD situation? And of course, I'll give mine.
Man, this whole situation, it just took a total 180. I mean, seriously, we're going into it, we're thinking, all right, KD was hurt, but he's healthy. We saw what he did in that first quarter, and then next thing you know, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I watched, they showed a close-up of his leg.
Ah, it was gross. I did. Like somebody shot his leg. Yeah. Yep. Like somebody shot his calf muscle.
Gosh.
Yeah. I could have done without seeing that.
Right. I mean, that just really, really showed you what had happened. So, do I think that he should have played? I think he should have played, and the reason why I think he should have played is because he knew that him playing would elevate his team, and he knew that his team needed that win. His team, I mean, the Warriors won that game, to be honest with you, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, obviously, but they won that game because of what Durant did in that first quarter to get them off to a hot start. You know, what did he make? His first three shots, they were all 3-pointers. He was on fire. He was doing all sorts of stuff on the court, and it wasn't until he really tried to go one-on-one with somebody and take him to the basket that that's when he hurt the Achilles. I was listening to a lot of the people on ESPNs and all the different websites and everything, and a lot of them were saying that because of all the talk about KD being soft and can the Warriors win without KD, and just the stat here real quick, the Warriors in the finals right now are 9-1 with KD and 8-9 without KD in the lineup. So it just goes to show you they I won't say they need him, but they're much better I'm sure they're much better with him. All the people that said they're better without him are crazy.
Agreed.
Crazy. I mean, yes.
They're Thanos with him.
Exactly. So the one thing that I have to say is did he do it because he wanted to show his teammates that he could get out there and play? Or did he do it because he heard the fans saying he was soft, the fans saying, when are you going to play? Why aren't you playing? This team's going to win without you. That's my only concern. As long as nobody rushed him to play, as long as he said, I'm ready to play, and if you listen to the GM, he basically said, we had a whole bunch of people, and we had multiple MRIs with multiple stuff done to make sure that he was ready. But then you listen to a guy like Jalen Rose who said, He was clearly not 100% in that practice. Clearly not. But a lot of players do that. Think about it. If I don't play and we lose in the NBA Finals, then I'm going to think to myself, and we lose that game and we lose the Finals, I'm going to think to myself, wow, if I would have played, we could have won. And then the other part of it is what happened. If I do play, I could re-injure myself. So is it worth it? And I heard some other people, they were talking about another guy that happened to, I guess, was Kevin McHale. He had done something, I think he broke a bone in his foot or something like that and played through it. And they said, he walks with a limp now because of it, because he said, I'll just go in. But that was the mentality back then. I don't think players, they don't try to push themselves through serious injuries as much now as they did. But in the finals, you got to step up. You got to bring your A game. You got to be there. And having him there definitely made the difference. It's sad the way that it happened. I thought maybe it was just a calf strain and he'd be okay, but the fact that it's an Achilles or torn Achilles and he's out 9 to 12 months, I think is what they're saying.
Still haven't done the MRI yet, but if it's a torn Achilles or ruptured Achilles, we're talking minimum 12 months.
Right.
Minimum.
And very few players. I think the one player in mind that they said actually came back from it was Dominique Wilkins.
Yep.
He's the only player really that's ever had that type of injury.
And came back explosive
How old
still.
is he? He's 30 or 31? 31, I think. So he's 31 now. He'll be 32 next year. It'll be 33 before he's back to himself. Right now it's free agency. Right now you got the Knicks, you got the Lakers, you got the Clippers.
You got the whole damn NBA.
You got really.
You got the whole damn league.
But I'm just saying those are the big ones that are going after him. And if you're one of those GMs and you're like, man, I really want to sign this guy, and now he's got a torn Achilles. Now, what you got to basically go back. You got to go get on your little whiteboard. You got to take your eraser, erase everything.
Do you?
Yeah, you do. Because can you give that guy that has an injury that you clearly know, hey, it doesn't happen very often that people come back from this, 1. 2, when they do come back from it, it's a year after the surgery. So surgery this year, next year, rehab, maybe play the following year. You're going to give that guy, you're going to risk your franchise on that guy, knowing that he may not be able to get to the play that he was. I mean, I think it's a question you have to ask.
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you just can't. I don't think everybody's as sold on, okay, we're going after KD now. I think they have to reevaluate. They have to see what other players are out there, especially now that they said the Pelicans are opening to a multi-team deal. Somebody else might be willing to jump in there. So it definitely changes the entire NBA with that injury. I don't really blame anybody to answer that question. I don't particularly blame anybody. If I blame anybody, it's really the fans for just not giving him a chance to kind of come back. I think the fans really wanted to rush him, and I think they just wanted to see him. I don't know if the Warriors necessarily pushed him or if he said he's been wanting to play. I'm sure you're one of the best basketball players in the world, that you played basketball for your entire life. You're 30 years old. You play basketball. Guess what you do? Guess what you do when you're not on the NBA court? You're playing basketball in a gym somewhere else, or you're playing street ball.
He's a hooper for real.
Trust me, that
guy's a basketball player. Yeah.
You and I both know when I was in my early 20s, I was playing basketball 6-7 hours a day out on the out on the outside courts, just wherever I could find him. So, I mean, that's the kind of guy that he was, though. Basketball is his life.
Yeah.
So imagine that. Someone just took your life away, pretty much. You haven't been playing for that long. Of course he wants to play. But at what point is wanting to play and thinking about a business decision as wanting to play, what point does that change? Because, I mean, it's tough. How do you make that decision if you're Kevin Durant? How do you make the decision on whether or not to play Game 5 or not? Especially if you weren't healthy really in that practice. So you kind of go out there and you do what? You give it 50%? He's not a 50% guy. He's a 100% guy all day.
Yeah, I mean, like you said too, when he came out gunning.
Yes.
I mean, that first quarter, I was like, oh no, Toronto's about to get a show tonight, and an unfortunate injury. I get some really good points you bring up. I think for me, if I'm a GM of an NBA team, he's still on my board, man. I'm taking the chance. I'm taking the chance. Is he my number one person? He might go from number one, number three. I mean, I think the one thing that we can say about Kevin Durant on the business side is you can always opt back in with the Golden State Warriors. $31 million is nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
He definitely has that in his back pocket to go from.
For 1 year.
Yeah. And I think, too, that obviously, to touch on this real quick, we didn't talk about it. The fans in Toronto yesterday, I know it wasn't all of them. There's always a few idiots in the group cheering, waving goodbye to Kevin Durant. Absolute garbage. I would go almost as far as saying the guy that had whatever jersey it was on in the front row waving bye. If I'm the Raptors, I might go as far as banning that guy. I don't want you in my arena anymore. Get out. That's not the kind of sportsmanship, the kind of fandom we promote with our organization. That's just me. Some folks might say that's taking it too far, but that's how I feel. I think the booing was disgusting. Kudos to Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, Danny Green, who kind of waves to the crowd to cut that crap out. This guy's hurt. He's a human being. To your point, Jalen Rose, I think everything he was talking about this morning hit the nail on the head as far as people not really caring really about Kevin Durant the person, more caring about Kevin Durant the basketball player and what can he do for me to either have my team win or help my brand get bigger, but not really caring about KD the person. One thing about that guy I never questioned was the heart. I mean, he's a basketball player. You said it perfectly. Basketball is his life, and it was taken away from him for 30 days. And then also, free agency or not, there's relationships he's built with those guys that play for Golden State. To see my boys down 3-1, and I know I can help make that 3-1 not be a 3-1 anymore, I'm going to do whatever the hell I got to do to get back on the basketball court. Yep. And based on what I saw those first 11 minutes, he was ready to ball out, man. I mean, there was threes, jumpers, nothing but net. There was no rim being hit at all. Talking trash with Van Fleet, that's Kevin Durant playing basketball. And then as we saw, the first time he tried to go 1v1, non-contact injury. Tragic. You hate to see it. If there's anybody that can come back from it, it's going to be him. I would think and I would hope that after what he went through last night, he's going to take this rehab all the way to the end. Meaning he's not going to come back until he really is 100% ready to go. And then the one thing I don't hear a lot of people talking about is, man, if this didn't make you have respect for Kawhi Leonard and him last year saying, my body's not right, I'm not playing, Spurs be damned, fans be damned. And we all talked about him, including myself. I never called Kawhi Leonard soft, but I said, this guy is hosing the Spurs. He doesn't care about the team. I was one of those people saying that. And then you see him sit out the whole year, and this guy's on the cusp of winning a championship. And if he doesn't win a championship, the run Kawhi Leonard's had in these playoffs is historic.
Well, you also got to think back and remember, what, 5 years ago, was it? Was it 5 years ago when he hurt his foot?
Yeah.
And he was gone for a long period of time as well, and they thought that was a horrific injury, and they didn't know if he was going to come back from that, and he came back from that. So I mean, if you look at that, and you're like, well, if there is a guy that's going to do it, it is KD.
Yeah, the foot injury they thought was going to change this guy's career, and he's not going to be the same player. I even forgot about it. You said something just now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much of a non-factor it's been. And as far as blame, I don't know, man. My thing is, as an athlete, you have to understand, and maybe it's just a conspiracy. This conspiracy inside of me I have sometimes. Team doctors, in my opinion, have ulterior motives, and maybe that's the wrong word to use. Dual loyalty. I got to make sure Pat's healthy, but at the same time, I work for the Golden State Warriors. I mean, I'm not sure if you saw it or not, and I hope there's more information on it. I'm sure there will be. Rachel Nichols had a report that the doctors told told Steve Kerr there's no further injury Kevin Durant can do to himself. That's what the coach was told. So you're playing the guy under the preference of there's nothing else he can do worse to hurt himself, and then he does. So I think if I'm Kevin Durant, if I'm an athlete in the NBA, NFL, whatever, when I get hurt, I'm definitely going to go talk to team doctors, but I'm also going to see Dr. James Andrews or whoever else. I'm going to go to an alternate doctor who can look at me and give me his honest opinion on what's the best course of action for my injury or my ailment.
I agree with what you're saying, and this is the one thing I have to say about that. Even Kawhi Leonard said, with the injury that he had, and just like a lot of things, you hurt your right foot, guess what happens? You walk around a lot on your left foot.
You're going to compensate.
You're going to compensate.
Derrick Rose.
Right.
Jesus.
Exactly. So Kawhi Leonard even said, right now, his quad, like when they said it's a mysterious leg injury, they basically, I heard somebody say that it has something to do with his quad. So because of the muscle and the way he had worked the other muscles, the quad's not quite there at the same pace. So How much of the Achilles had to do with the calf is the question.